Well, our next subject now, and the number of hate crimes against transgender people has reached its highest level since records began, which wasn't that long ago, to be fair. That's according to data released this morning by the Home Office. This comes after Rishi Sunak made clear his views on trans issues at the Tory party conference yesterday, saying people cannot simply choose their own genders and decide their own sex at the same time. Let's have a little watch and listen to what he had to say.
And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
Well, big cheers for Rishi Sunak for that. Well, I'm joined in the studio right now by journalist and commentator Shivani Dave. Good afternoon to you.
Hello.
Lovely to finally meet you in person, instead of just down a phone line. Russell Quirk, of course, is also with us. I'm sure he'll want to put his tuppence worth in as well. Let's just talk, first of all, about what Rishi Sunak had to say. People were cheering him. A man is a man, a woman is a woman. It's just common sense. This is a far cry from a lot of the messages we're getting from the likes of Keir Starmer, that a trans woman is a woman. I asked Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss at the Tory party hustings last summer when I was one of the interviewers, and I said, is a trans woman a woman? And both of them categorically said no. Is this a sea change?
They can say what they want to say, but in the eyes of the law, a trans woman is a woman and a trans man is a man, based on the legal sets of...
Are they?
Yes. Based on a set of legal requirements that you have to be able to transition and be legally recognised as a man or a woman.
You're talking about someone who's gone through the gender recognition process.
Yes.
Has got a certificate.
Yes.
They are recognised for the purposes of legal documents, of passports and the like, and actually even going back and changing their birth certificate, something which I have a very big issue with, because it's then legally, and it's factually incorrect to say that someone is the sex they now believe themselves to be. There is still an issue, and the Equality Rights Commission has made it very clear that there is a clear difference between gender and biological sex. Biological sex is immutable and does not change. People can say, I would like to be treated, I'd like to live my life as a different gender, but it doesn't change their sex. So a trans woman on that basis is not a woman, if we understand what a woman to be, which is an adult human female.
Well, that may be the case in opinions of yours and many other people.
Is that opinion or is that fact?
No, I believe that that's an opinion, and I believe that to be the case because you are... there are different ways to define sex. So there's sex that you're sort of documented at birth. Baby pops out, doctor says it's a man, it's a boy or it's a girl. Right? And then
why do they say that? Why do they choose? Why do they say some babies are boys and some babies are girls? Why do they do that? Is it just random? Do they just...
They base that on...
What colour? Is it a pink blanket they give it, so that one's a girl? Or is there a factual basis? And they go,
They base that on external genitalia.
On external genitalia,
right.
Okay.
But internally, hormonally, chromosomally, organs inside may not always reflect that. But...
Well, some people are intersex.
Some people are.
We understand that, but when we talk about trans people, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a man, a biological male, who was born and grown up as a biological male, saying, or a biological female, saying the opposite, I wish to now live my life as the opposite gender. But that doesn't make them the opposite sex.
Well, in the eyes of the law, it does.
I don't think it does.
You can get a gender recognition certificate and you can...
But it doesn't change the actual factual biological reality.
It doesn't change.
I love the shrug because
it doesn't change.
You think that's irrelevant?
It doesn't change someone's chromosomes. It doesn't change their DNA. Of course, it doesn't. But so what? That person says, "This is who I am. This is how I want to live my life. This is how I would like people in my circle of friends and people around me in the workplace, or whatever, to refer to me. This is what I want, and this will make me feel immeasurably better."
And a lot of people would certainly say, look, again, as a friend, out of kindness and compassion, respect, people would say, yes, I will use your preferred pronouns or something like that. And yet, the requirement that everyone else does it, and that you're required by law to do it, that's where people get upset.
There's no requirement by law that you have to respect somebody's pronouns.
The women who've been sexually assaulted and raped in court have been told by judges you're required, otherwise you'll be sent down to the docks, to have the dock and to prison, unless you use the preferred pronouns of their alleged assailant.
But is that because...
Even when it's a man who has raped them and they're now living as a woman.
Which cases has that happened in?
There have been a number of court cases. Do I have it right here in front of me?
You've got a lot of papers in front of you.
I'm not making it up. I will text it to you later.
Text it to me later. I'd be really interested to see what happens there.
What about male rapists who say they're now a woman and they get put into a woman's prison? Is it a shrug then? Or not?
How many times has that happened?
It's happened a number of times.
Where?
It's happened in Scotland. It's happened. It's happening in England. It's happening in America. It's happened dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And there are a number of cases of women being sexually assaulted by male prisoners put in prisons with them.
To be in a women's prison as somebody who is trans, there is a certain threshold that you have to be able to reach.
There isn't.
There is. Whether that is a legal threshold or a set of guidelines enforced by.
You can be fully intact as a male. I've had no hormone treatment.
You can be, as you call it, fully intact as a male and still get a gender recognition certificate within the eyes of the law.
Exactly.
Well,
and you've got no issue with that. If you were in a prison cell as a woman, God forbid this happens to either of us, and a man who just said, well, I put on a wig and a pair of fake boobs and now I'm a woman, did that.
It's a lot more than putting on a wig and a pair of fake boobs.
No, but some sex offenders have been doing that. We know that.
Well, to be able to go into a women's prison, it's not the case as just putting on a wig and a pair of fake boobs and walking into a prison.
I mean, that's literally what some of these men have been doing.
They've been living their lives as trans women.
Only once they've been charged. Okay, let's go back to the issue of these figures, that these hate crime figures have come out. Although actually the vast majority of hate crime figures in this country are race-based, over 100,000, we've seen a rise in, we're told, reports certainly of hate crimes involving transgender people up to 4,732. That's up 11% on the year previously. Are you concerned about a rise, and why do you think that's happening?
I think there's a rise happening because there are harmful discussions taking place involving trans people or the media, being social media, traditional broadcast, print media. There are harmful conversations that are taking place that sort of vilifies trans people as one monolith.
Does this do that? Does this conversation do that?
I think looking at trans women as an overall thing, saying they put on a wig and fake boobs.
No, I'm saying some people, some men do that. We know that some men do that.
Maybe if that is the case that has happened, I don't know that.
100% has happened.
Taking you at face value, if that has happened, then that is one instance, but that person does not reflect the entire trans community. And I think what happens often on social media, online, we see individual cases like this that then get blown up to sort of make that one person represent the whole community.
But of course, one is too many. We're out of time, so I'm going to give you 10 seconds, I'm afraid, Russell.
In this fast-moving society of ours, I think we would all like to know what constitutes a trans hate crime, because if it's just misgendering somebody and that becomes a crime, that's wrong.
Absolutely. Siobhan Dome, I don't know. Come back on. I promise you this debate's going to keep on coming. I'd love to get you back on the show. Sadly, though, that is the end.